I despise the color green. Luigi is my favorite Mario character. Luigi was created entirely for the purpose of being player 2. He rarely had any story significance at all. They didn't even make a unique sprite for him. They just took Mario's sprite, made it green, and called it a day. He, along with everyone else in the Mushroom Kingdom, had very little to no personality. Up until a very little indie game that very few people know about. That game gave Luigi the personality you all know of to this day. That game is called Mario is Missing. Oh wait, hang on. Let me check. Oh no, I'm sorry. The game is called Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion was a GameCube launch title that no one liked. Sure, it's become a cult classic now, but this game was critically panned when it came out, all because it wasn't Mario. Luigi's Mansion is a cute little Silent Hill-esque adventure game. Your little cousin wants to get into horror? Well, this is a great place for them to start. The game follows Luigi as he goes to check out a mansion that he won in a contest he didn't even enter. Upon arrival, he finds that the mansion is haunted. Ooh, spooky. He soon meets a little gremlin baby man named Professor Egad, a scientist turned ghostbuster. Egad tells Luigi that Mario apparently came to the mansion earlier to make sure the mansion was safe. It wasn't safe. Later it's revealed that King Boo has kidnapped Mario and put him in a painting, and he's planning to do the same to Luigi. So Luigi sets out to rid the mansion of the ghosts and save Mario. I personally really like the game, despite never having played it. I would go more in depth, but because of that, I don't feel like I have the right to. I can't really review the game if I haven't played it, you know? But after Luigi's Mansion came out, it really seemed as though we were never gonna get a sequel, seeing as how a lot of people hated it. But years later, the game developed a cult following, and one fateful day, we got a sequel. Though it came out for the 3DS exclusively, and no one really cared about it, so we're not gonna talk about it. But on another faithful day, we got another sequel for the Nintendo Switch, and it is one of the best video games I have ever played in my entire life. In my Sonic video, I said, "This is my favorite Sonic game. It's actually my favorite game ever, of all time," which was true for the longest time, but a couple of days ago I got myself a copy of Luigi's Mansion 3, and Sonic Colors is no longer my favorite game. Luigi's Mansion 3 was developed by the same people who developed the sequel to the original, Next Level Games, which surprised me when I found that out because this game is such a step up in quality in every front. The main thing people loved about Dark Moon was the expressive animation, especially when it came to Luigi. Luigi was such a cute little goofball in Dark Moon, and they 100% do not disappoint here. But I'll go more in depth with the animation and presentation later. First, let's talk about the plot. Luigi's Mansion 3 follows Luigi, Mario, Princess Peach, and a bunch of toads, and Luigi's ghost dog, Polterpup, as they head to an enormous hotel called The Last Resort. Subtle. Soon after arriving, the gang meets the hotel owner, Helen Gravely. Helen says she and the staff are delighted to see the Mario brothers and their friends. Everyone is then escorted to their rooms and they settle in for the night. Luigi then wakes up in the middle of the night to find the hotel has transformed from a luxurious hotel to a haunted mansion. Luigi decides to explore to see if his brother and friends are okay. Spoiler alert, they are not. After a while, Luigi runs into Helen. Helen then tells Luigi that someone she's admired her entire life has arrived and wants to see Luigi. Ooh, a celebrity? Oh, I wonder who it could be. Charlie Day? Charles Martinet? Chris Pratt? Oh. It's King Boo. King Boo announces his plan to exact revenge on Luigi and Egad for locking him away at the end of Dark Moon by locking them away in paintings. Hearing this, Luigi obviously freaks out and runs away, like the big coward he is. He barely escapes by jumping down the laundry chute, obviously leading him down to the laundry room in the basement. After meeting back up with Polterpup in the parking garage, Luigi finds a new vacuum, the Poltergust G00. Soon Luigi makes his way back up to the second floor, where he finds Egad trapped in a painting. something. Using the dark light he found in a nearby room, Luigi frees Egad. The two then head back to the basement and come up with a plan to stop Helen and King Boo and save Luigi's friends. The gameplay mainly has you walking around the hotel, solving puzzles, sucking ghosts, and fighting bosses to make your way to the roof. It's pretty straightforward. You go to a floor, explore the floor, rid the floor of paranormal creatures, get to the elevator button, and move along. Just so the game doesn't get too stale, Luigi has some cute little tricks up his sleeve, like the Poltergust G below. By pressing ZR, you can make Luigi suck things up, and ZL blows. You can aim the vacuum with the right stick. You can do a lot with this. Nearly everything can be sucked or blown. Ghosts, bed sheets, curtains, money, balls, don't say it, fake walls, vines, and way more. You think it? You can suck it. The amount of potential they squeeze out of the Poltergust is insane. It blows my mind as to how much stuff they came up with. Alongside the Poltergust, Luigi also has a plunger. I mean, he is a plumber after all. The suction shot, as Egad calls it, can function as a lot of different things. You can use it as a grapple of some sorts, you can use it to sling things around that are way too heavy for the suck, and you can use it to disarm some of the ghosts. Not unlike the Poltergust, the potential they pump out of this thing is astronomical. It just boggles my mind as to how they came up with such cool puzzles. Luigi also has a dark light, and it's pretty boring. This thing was actually introduced in Dark Moon, and it was pretty boring there too. The main use for it is freeing Luigi's friends from these paintings. You can also use it to reveal hidden objects, which is kinda cool, I guess. Yeah, this mechanic is pretty bare bones. But the mechanic that was plastered all over the marketing, and I was really scared it would be more cumbersome than fun to use, is Luigi! Oh my god, Luigi is awesome! Luigi, or as I like to call him, Lugrini, is a perfect clone of Luigi created by Egad, except even more green. Luigi is made entirely of some gooey green substance. He can walk through fences, jail cells, and spikes. He's impervious to any type of damage, and he dissolves on impact to water. The way this thing is introduced is equal parts hilarious and clever. Egad calls Luigi down to the parking garage on his virtual boo, because he's got a surprise. He then proceeds to lock Luigi in a cage with the way out on the other side of the room. Luigi's reaction to this is hilarious, by the way. Egad then tells Luigi to get out by using this new invention. You probably guessed it, but Next Level Games pumped all the potential out of this thing. Despite the fact that he's just a greener Luigi, there's a lot Luigi can do that Luigi straight up just can't. Like I said earlier, he can walk through cage-like walls, like fences, and this opens a lot of potential to puzzles. One thing you still gotta keep in mind while using Luigi is that Luigi can still get hurt, and the game developers make sure you know this. There are tons of times where Luigi is in peril and you gotta use Luigi to save him. Like this time where Luigi is stuck in a jail cell and the walls start closing in slowly and you gotta use Luigi to stop the walls so Luigi can find the key and get out. When I say they like to do that a lot, I don't mean they recycle the same kind of puzzle all the time. I just mean they put a spin on that puzzle every time they use it. Another cool thing about Luigi is the fact that when you switch from Luigi while using the Poltergust, Luigi keeps sucking and vice versa, which means you can have double the suck, which means it's twice the power, which means it's twice the strength, which means you can move stronger objects, which also leads to more puzzle concepts. If there's anything too heavy for Luigi to move on his own, just whip out Luigi and you can probably move it. I remember this one time where a room is filled with smoke and I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out how to empty the room, but I realized Luigi can suck the smoke up just like Luigi, so I tried it. And it worked, and it was awesome. I felt so cool. They do this a lot too. It feels awesome every time. I've been real focused on puzzle potential this whole time, but I haven't really mentioned the combat a whole lot, and that's because compared to everything else, it's pretty simple and easy. But that isn't entirely a bad thing. The combat is really fun. I have a lot of fun doing the combat. A lot of times in the game, you'll get locked in a room with a bunch of enemies, and you'll be forced to fight all of them before proceeding. In the first game, all you had to do to kill a ghost was simply aim your flashlight at them and suck them up. But in Dark Mood, they decided to complicate things to make the combat more difficult, and I like it. They added this charge thing. You hold down A for a bit, let go, and BAM! bright lights. I'm very glad they kept that in this game because simply shining the light at the ghost seems way too easy. But now that you got the ghost frozen and vulnerable from your flash, you can suck them up. While sucking the enemy, a little meter starts to fill up. When the meter finally fills up, you can push A and slam them to the ground. Just spam A and the ghost will be dead in no time. I love this. It's very simple and really easy to master, but there are so many different ways to approach enemies. The whole slam mechanic is so simple yet complex at the same time. I know that's confusing, but I swear that makes sense. You're able to slam ghosts into other ghosts, allowing you to damage multiple ghosts at the same time. And on top of that, you're able to suck a ghost without flashing them, thus allowing you to chain ghosts together and make yourself feel like a true-born Ghostbuster. It's so cool! At the end of every floor is a boss ghost. One thing many people were glad returned from the first game. Each and every boss is unique. Some have massive health bars and focus more on the combat. Some have surprisingly small health bars and focus more on just trying to get to them before they kill you. One of the boss ghosts is 3 little girl ghosts who hide in these hats, and you gotta remember which hat has which girl inside of it, and I'm not lying when I say each boss is unique. There is just one boss that I think is pretty bad, and he isn't even that bad. I just think he's too easy. He is voiced by a Super Macho Man though, which is pretty cool.
Are you ready? 'Cause I'm gonna put on a show.
One thing I and a lot of people were worried about was the way this game was structured. Everyone was so worried the game was going to have a level-by-level structure like Dark Moon instead of the completely open structure of the first game. But no one expected them to do both. Woo! What I mean is, the game is mostly open. You can do anything you want on any floor you want, but the level-by-level structure just pokes its little head out by having all the floors blocked off until you find the elevator button for said floor. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. In fact, I think it was probably the best way to do it. With this mansion this time being so huge, 17 floors to be specific, if they made it so you can go anywhere in the hotel when you wanted, you'd probably get lost. The reason the first game was able to be so open was because there were only 3 or so floors. Luigi's Mansion 3 has a whopping 17. I almost said 13. No single floor feels the same as another. Some are long, some are short, some are tall, some are not. That almost rhymed! One thing I adore is the way the floor themes get more and more wild as you move along. The first couple of floors are the typical foyer, bedrooms, and kitchens, but some of the later ones are medieval castles, Egyptian pyramids, paleontologist museums, disco dance floors, and pirate ships. My favorite floor has to be floor 8. Paranormal Productions. It's a movie set. The puzzles in this floor are insane. Having you put Luigi in front of a blue screen and looking through the camera, transforming the environments to whatever the movie set dictates. Huh. I didn't know that's how blue screen works. There are also these TVs you gotta use to teleport things from one movie set to the other. It's awesome. Dude, the Egyptian floor was so cool. That one might actually be my favorite. You walk through this door and are greeted with this enormous pyramid inside of an even bigger room inside of an already enormous hotel. Oh, that's one thing I love about this game. The sense of scale. Luigi's so small and insignificant compared to his environments. Next Level Games really likes to point this out, with these beautiful wide shots showing you how tiny and ultimately weak Luigi actually is. I really like the segments outside of the hotel, despite how few and far between they are. Mainly because you see this hotel a lot, and yeah, it's tall, but you never realize how big it actually is until Luigi's slapped right on top of it. You really get a sense of, yeah, my friends are screwed. It's great. It sounds awful, but trust me, it's great. Because the game tried to make you feel like such a scared little baby, you feel all the better when you do something remotely successful. The ghosts constantly make fun of Luigi, the boss ghosts laugh at the sight of such a puny foe, Helen gravely thinks Luigi is a joke, and King Boo sees Luigi as no threat whatsoever. All of the bombardments of insults is all the more motivating to kick these guys' butts and prove prove them that Luigi is superior to Mario. I guess you could compare it to the little boss quips in Cuphead that appear when you die. The best part about this game isn't even the gameplay, it's the game's presentation. I'm not even talking about the animation, though that is a huge factor, and I'll talk about it soon. Just give me a minute! I'm talking about the game's menus and UI. I know it's strange to have an entire section of this video dedicated to the UI, but I don't care, I love it. Immediately as you boot up the game, you're welcomed by this pristine golden hotel, accompanied by the logo of the game, but instead of the usual green and orange, we got a shiny, bright gold and silver one. But after you play through the game a little bit and reopen the game, you're greeted with the creepy, desolate hotel along with the green and orange logo that we all know and love. I know it's such a simple, minute thing, but it's so cool. The same can also be said about the menus. Once again, I know it's really weird to spend so much time talking about the UI, but hear me out, it's awesome. When you start the game, before you even get the poltergust, if you pause the game, you're greeted by blue panels, which are kind of boring. But after you free Egad and are given the virtual boo, the menus change from boring blue panels to red and black menus, which functions as a cute little homage to the Virtual Boy, while also looking pretty rad.
All of this is pointless.
You're probably shouting,
Who cares what the menus and UI look like? You're just wasting your time praising this. Also, I'm Batman.
You are true. It is pretty pointless, but that just makes the fact that they made the menus the way they did all the more cool. They didn't have to make the main menus change while you play, but they did. They didn't need to make the game UI change once you get the Virtual Boy, but they did. It's those small touches that make things all the more special. Now that I finished rambling about the UI, let's start talking about how absolutely beautiful this game is. Okay. Where the heck do I begin? This game is gorgeous. It's probably not the best looking game ever, but it's pretty dang close. The art direction is so stylish and cartoony. There isn't a single straight edge nor perfect symmetrical shape. It kind of reminds me of how the environments looked in the Captain Underpants movie of all things. You know, everything being slightly crooked and asymmetrical. Symmetry is boring. Always. I despise it when things are perfectly symmetrical because it's so robotic and boring because nothing is ever perfect. Unless you're going for a boring feel, then it's okay. Like in Portal. Portal is supposed to feel like barren, white, boring. So everything is symmetrical and everything's perfect and stuff. But the asymmetrical look works so good in this game. I can't really ramble about this like I did with the UI. I can't figure out why it works, it just does. Not everything has to be so deep, but the one thing that is deep is the animation quality. Chris, that transition or segue didn't really make any sense. Oh, you little... Shut up! Stupid, no good for nothing. Always thinking he could question me. This is 100% the most animated these characters have ever been. The animations perfectly encapsulate the personality of these characters, especially Luigi. I love how out of shape Luigi is presented as. It makes him all the more sympathetic. God, Luigi is so cute! It makes me angry! How in the world did they manage to make a fat plumber who's dressed in my least favorite color absolutely endearing and so gosh darn likable? This is the kind of thing I mentioned earlier. The biggest thing I see people praise Dark Moon for was the animations. They were so lively and well animated. Luigi started to feel more like a silly goofster who just so happened to be kinda anxious instead of just Green Mario. Kinda scared. Player 2. There are so many tiny details that make Luigi feel so alive, like the way his eyes slowly look back and forth between Morty and the elevator button when he's trying to steal the button. Or how about whenever Luigi collects an elevator button and he slightly furrows his brow as if he's thinking that he's the coolest thing since sliced bread. This isn't even exclusive to the cutscenes. The in-game animations is just as lively. Whenever Luigi gets scared, he stiffs up, and for the first couple of seconds of walking around, he stays stiff as he's trying to calm himself down. Look at the way Luigi starts to sprint. He stumbles as he picks up speed. It's such a tiny addition, but it makes all the difference. The way Luigi leans into his turns, the way Luigi leads his turns with his flashlight, the way Luigi looks around his environment while you play, the way Luigi jiggles as you run into things. None of this affects gameplay, and most people won't notice it. But it's so cool that they took the time to do it because it shows that they care. They care about the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff, they say. None of it matters, they say. It matters to me. There's this thing in animation called bump the lamp. It's used when referring to going the extra mile even when no one notices. But I notice. I see what you do in Next Level Games. I'm catching your drift. I'm picking up what you're putting down. The beautiful animations are helped massively by the amazing voice actors. Mostly Charles Martinet. Oh, Charles Martinet, you sweet, sweet old man. This guy is so talented. He makes Luigi so sympathetic. Luigi and also the rest of the characters don't speak in sentences. The most you ever get is, "Oh, doggy," or, "Let's do it." But the amount of emotion Charles squeezes out of so few words is insane. Like everything else in the game, it blows my mind. Charles Martinet, I wish I could go to wherever you are and give you a fat sloppy kiss on your forehead, you magnificent being. Music is a thing in games. The music in this game is really good. This game has a thing kind of similar to Banjo-Kazooie, where the music changes when you go to a different place in each level. But unlike Banjo, this time it's a lot more subdued. It's so subdued to the point I wouldn't blame you if you didn't notice it. Instead of having the same song played with different instruments, this game changes the backing track. Or the motif? I don't know. I'm not a music guy. Here, let me show you. Here's the main hotel lobby theme. Nice, nice. Kinda catchy. Well, here's the same song, but this time, you're next to Mario. Did you hear the Mario theme in the background? Now here's the Princess Peach version. Toad. Now Helen. This is all over the place in this game, but it's hidden in the background to the point I didn't even notice it until I listened to the soundtrack for this video. Each floor in this game has a couple of variants of the main theme. A ghost variant, a ghost catching variant, a tension variant, and a suspenseful variant. That's at least 5 versions of the same song, counting the main song, of course. Times 5 by 17, and you got 85 tracks. Jeez. And that's not even counting the main menu theme and the shorter victory and death tracks. I typically don't care if a game has dynamic tracks. I more so just want my games to have catchy tunes for me to listen to while I play. But it's done in such a natural, non-intrusive way here that you can barely notice it until someone points it out. So I pointed it out. So now you'll notice it. Okay, I think I've rambled for long enough. The gameplay is masterfully designed, the animations are beautiful, the presentation is through the roof, and the soundtrack is awesome. I think I've covered all the bases. I know I'm very late to the party with this game. I literally just got the game a couple of days ago. But I was absolutely stunned at how perfectly this game was crafted, so I had to make this video. I'd probably say this game has to be a 10 out of 10 for me. Too bad Luigi is green. Green is not a creative color. 0 out of 10. Do not play this game.